Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is going on? It is good to see you guys on Wednesday morning. As always, we're live. It's 9 a.m. We're right here in Austin. That's Joe. I'm Tony. We're ready to kill it for you guys. We're going to get smart. We're going to get smart today. You just wait.
We're going to get real
show
smart.
You how smart we are.
Go sports. Go smarts. What's
Tell
up, everybody? Good morning, everybody. Hope y'all are having an amazing kickstart to your week. Happy winning on Wednesday. As you guys know, we are here live 9 a.m. Central every single week. If you guys can, real quick, let us know that you can hear and see us in the comments. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And like I said, I hope you guys are having an amazing kickstart to the week. Real quick here, before we get into my favorite segment of the show, shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions and Rob Lopez. We appreciate everything y'all do here within the syndicate, as well as for Clearview and as well as for hundreds of other insurance agents. Again, I've been seeing more of an uptick when it comes to virtual assistants and the solutions and who you should partner with, all that good stuff. So shout out to Viva. We really appreciate everything that y'all do. And shout out to Lily, our producer, who's behind the scenes helping us run all of Syndicate social media and platforms and everything like that. So we appreciate you, Viva. And as you guys know, before we kickstart into the show, it's that time. It's the time to drop those weekly wins in the comments. Come on, let's go. Drop them in the comments. We want to celebrate y'all. Drop them in the comments. Mr. Merwin, what you got, brother?
Dude, I have Kung Fu Endurance as my weekly win. Check this out. I'm in class it was Friday. It was last Friday. I'm in class, and instead of actually teaching us some Kung Fu, he decides to just put us through a conditioning workout of numerous exercises for 90 seconds, all different body resistance exercises, from body squats to air punches to leg kicks, leg lifts, all kinds of stuff. By the end of it, you're worn out. And then the last thing he wants you to do at the end of that is sit in basically your horse stance for 15 minutes.
What's a horse stance?
That's basically a bent knee stance where all of your weight is sitting on your thighs and your quads for a solid 50. Like sitting in a squat, for example.
Yeah, like an air squat, basically.
Yeah, so I'm the 50-year-old guy. Everybody else in this class is like 20 and 30-somethings. And about halfway through this workout, I'm watching them buckle. I mean, buckle. And they keep looking at me, and I'm just doing my thing.
Still standing, baby. I like it.
Felt good. It was a nice confidence builder to know that, hey, man, after, being out of the game for a bit, jumping back in, I've still got some skills and can go in there and show these youngsters what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kudos to you, man. Nice work. And I know you're getting back into the gym and hitting all your workouts and stuff like that. So I know that's probably playing a factor in that. And so my weekly win's a little bit different. I did we scored like 18 runs in one inning in softball last night. We've been tearing on people, and it's been a lot of fun. But my weekly win, this is so crazy, y'all, how this comes full circle. Years ago, when I first found Summit Worship Center, the church that I go to, a lot of y'all know I'm involved on the youth side of things over there. And that's kind of my passion, is just giving back to the younger generation, all that good stuff. And so I meet, his name is Dylan Niesner, which, Dylan, if you're watching this, dude, shout out. I'm proud of you. Dude, he was in like 5th grade when I first met this kid, right? And me and his mom actually were helping run youth together. His mom was actually the first person that Laura Grace, my firstborn, ever smiled at, like true smile, like because she was obviously like super newborn the first time she met her. And so I got a text about, I'd say a few weeks ago, if not maybe, man, probably 3, not even a month ago, man. That's what's so awesome about it. And it's Dylan's mom is saying, "Hey, do you know anything about this agency?" And it was here in Austin. I said, whoa, what is Dylan doing going to talk with and it's like commission only insurance agency? I said, "Oh no, Deanna, you give him my number right now." Hits me up, comes into the office, gets here early for the morning meeting, is part of the morning meeting with us here at Syndicate HQ. And then just really just told him kind of, what this opportunity is. And it's perfect segue into kind of like what we're going to get into today, y'all, which is everything goals, which ultimately is backed by sales. But I show them the opportunity, kind of tell them what it is. But at the end of the day, right, we always talk about it. What's the first thing you got to do to get into insurance? It's like, get licensed, right? And so Dylan hits me up. That was on Monday. "Hey, I got an 80." And so he passed, and he even had things going on in his personal life with the loss in the family and all, and still pushed through, did all his material, his study material, and went and passed on his first try. And he's 19 years old, which I'm freaking hyped because if anybody knows, that's when I got into insurance, was at 19. Now it looks a little bit different than probably what he's going to be doing. I was an intern and then ultimately got into customer service. But so shout out to Dylan. That was a huge win. Just seeing somebody who literally I knew since like 5th, 6th grade, and then now out of high school and kind of getting into, a new industry, and I get to be a part of that as well. So
he was fun in the office previously.
Yeah.
When he was here working and kind of examining everything.
Yeah, no, I'm hyped for Dylan. And again, shout out to you for getting licensed. That's definitely a weekly win. Seeing a new youngin getting into the industry, baby. Me and Tony are getting a little old. I know I look like I'm a baby, but I am 30 years old now. So
one day my hair turn gray and it'll be really obvious how old I am.
I love it. I love it. All right, y'all. Well, again, hey, drop in the comments any type of weekly win. We would love to celebrate you. If you're catching this on the replay, still don't hesitate to drop those. We will circle back and make sure and give you a round of applause. But without further ado, I kind of just alluded to it, but today's show, it's so obviously me and Tony here running it ourselves. And I think it was kind of like almost becoming cliche because how much people talked about goals to where then people like wanted to stop talking about goals. But then it's like setting goals is so freaking important in what we do, especially in our business, but even just in our personal life as well, right? And so we've got kind of 10 bulleted, broken down, just ways to set goals, ways to manage goals, ultimately how to create individual goals that still align with the company vision, incentives, all that good stuff. So whether you're just an individual producer, whether property, casualty, life, or health, doesn't matter. This applies to all lines of business. Or, hey, you're kind of sitting more in a leadership role. A lot of this does kind of fall on you in order to kind of drive the ship and have your own goals, have team goals, make sure the individuals are being taken care of, all that good stuff. So I'm just going to kind of go ahead and get right into it. Some of us have heard this, but it's number one is to set SMART goals. Okay, so set SMART goals. SMART, and we've heard this before, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay, so again, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. This framework helps in setting clear, specific, and achievable goals. Clear, specific, and achievable goals, y'all. That's an important part there. For example, a SMART goal for the sales team could be to increase sales by 20% in the next quarter, right? So again, SMART goals are very important. I love the word achievable in that. I think sometimes we get a little lofty. Don't get me wrong. I love stretch goals, but we also don't want to have so many stretch goals or lofty goals out there that we never actually achieve them. Like that's almost more detrimental than having the goal in the first place, right? So I get it. Hey, let's reach for it. Let's go for it. Shoot for the stars. But at the same time, we need to have achievable goals. And I love that they incorporated the team goals as well, right? Like, hey, let's increase sales as a team by 20%, not necessarily, hey, you go, and we'll get into the individual piece there. But when, again, setting these SMART goals, it's important, I think, to incorporate the team. For me, I just went through a goal planning session with a new agent of ours on the Clearview side. We go through House of Dreams, all that good stuff. But then we get into goal setting, which is personal and financial. A lot of the times, and Tony, I know that you've seen this in the years of you've been in our industry, a lot of people will start on the financial goal side of things. Nothing wrong with having financial goals, but I challenge that and Well, sometimes you just start throwing out arbitrary numbers. For me, I was the guy doing this where, okay, I'm writing my goals down and I'm writing them in past tense and manifesting them, acting like they've happened. Hey, it was really nice making $20,000 a month. And then I hit it. And then it's like, all right, I want to make $30,000 a month, right? Like, but the number 30 didn't really mean anything to me other than I was making more money. So my challenge is actually start with the personal goals. What do you want to achieve that is not necessarily associated to a specific dollar sign, right? Is it that new car? Is it the family vacation? Is it that rental property? Is it the ranch that you want to buy? Is it, for me, once I kind of hit my goals, it's like, I want to buy a Rolex. And they're like, why? And it's like, just because I want a freaking Rolex, all right? But that's just one of my goals. But ultimately, when I have the personal goals set, then that really allows me to now back into some numbers when it comes to my financial goals. Like, what do I need to hit over here in order to achieve this? And a lot of the times we do it the other way around, where we start with the money, but then the dollar sign is just, it's an arbitrary number. It's just something we're throwing out there that, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a financial goal. But I would challenge y'all as we, again, look at these SMART goals, when we try to get very specific and achievable goals, let's also make sure we align them with the personal side of things, because that's where the drive comes from, right, Tony? It's like, that's where the passion comes from, is when I know by hitting this over here, all of this comes true and happens as well, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents there. Again, start with the personal, then move over to the financial side of things. Tony, what are your thoughts on that? I see you. Are you thinking over there?
Personal, financial, yeah.
Yeah.
From a execution standpoint, 100%. I think from a thought standpoint, financial definitely comes before personal. You have to figure out, because the way you're describing it, you need to know the result that you're trying to achieve before you can set the personal goals to achieve it.
Okay. I can see that too.
So at least from a thought process, you have to be, okay, if you're going to describe it in a financial sense, you have to know, what is the monetary goal I'm trying to achieve? And then now, what is the personal goals that I need to hit, or personal targets?
Right.
And we certainly have a lot of that laid out in here, not to jump ahead, but certainly short-term targets going to be a part of that we'll get into. Just starting off with number 1, like it says, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The example that you gave was for the goal for the sales team to increase sales by 20% in next quarter. It's specific. We want sales team to increase sales. It's measurable. How much? 20%. It's relevant.
Hopefully.
I mean, you can't argue that it's relevant, and it's certainly achievable. 20% growth is definitely, I don't think, out of anybody's achievement realm. And then obviously it's time bound. They're saying next quarter. So another example, just a more simple one, would be like 250 dials in a week, or 100,000 in quoting in a week, whatever kind of thing like that. Something else that I was thinking about when I looked at this is that your goals should also evolve as you grow as an agent.
Agreed.
If you're brand new, your goals are generally going to be centered around activities, right? 250,000 a week, 10 appointments set in a week, right? 10 up, whatever the numbers are. I'm just throwing out arbitrary stuff, but they should start with activity goals. As your activity gets consistent and production starts to grow and become somewhat consistent, then your goals, especially your short-term ones, are going to evolve into production goals. How much production do I need to put down, right? As production continues to grow and get consistent, then you start looking at growth goals. How can I grow this business? How can I scale it, et cetera? Whether it's team development, internal growth, et cetera. So I was thinking about that from an over arc. But number 2, kind of the second thing, like once you figure out what those SMART goals are, a good step is to go ahead and conduct a market analysis. I do this quite a bit. The statement here says to conduct a thorough analysis of the current market conditions, new regulations in the insurance industry, and this will help in understanding the challenges and opportunities the sales team may face, and accordingly, you can set better realistic goals. Definitely true. We know, number 1, especially in my space, the Medicare space, heavily regulated. It changes all the time. So we're always having to kind of look at that to see where changes are. Obviously, the P&C space, same thing. You guys are losing carriers, losing product lines in different areas. It's shifting a lot. So when I'm looking at this thought process, market analysis to help my goals, say for the next quarter, the next year, maybe the next 2 years, I'm looking for, in Medicare, we call them service area reductions, right? Where carriers are pulling out of certain markets, or they're shrinking their footprint. So people are losing plans. Just, I mean, it happens in P&C too, right? a carrier says, no more Florida, we're out.
Right.
So market disruption, but also market expansions. Who's coming in to fill up some gaps?
Yep.
Right.
Agreed.
In certain areas. What is my audience count in that area? Do I have a good audience that I can target through this disruption, through this expansion? The timing of it needs to be key. These are things that I'm just kind of going through my thought process when I'm looking for these right here. And then finally, the messaging to address the issue so that you can gain the business and get the goal right. Those are the things that you need to think of when you're going through that market analysis. And then through there, you can develop your metrics. I'll give you a great example. In Kansas City, Kansas City Blue is pulling out of their Medicare Advantage plan. They're going to lose about 30,000 members.
Wow.
It's a pretty good chunk of people for a small localized plan. Well, out of 30,000 people, I don't know how much of that audience I can attract, but I assume I can get in front of quite a bit of it. We're going through kind of counting right now, looking at lists and so forth. But there's definitely a production goal in there for me. So I'm kind of in that process now of looking at that specific space. How many people are in there? How many people probably speak Spanish in that area that I can target? Where am I going to get them from? Is my audience going to be through Facebook? Is it going to be through direct mail? Is it going to be through both? Mm-hmm. Right? How am I going to get in front of those 30,000 people? And how many can I pick up? Yep. And at the moment, we're shooting for 50. We're kind of being a little bit modest. I think we should probably pick that up. But Spanish count isn't at the level that we can get on Facebook in there just yet.
Right. So, right. I think real quick to piggyback off that too. A lot of y'all don't like going to carrier trainings, and that's why you don't know anything about the carriers. It's like, oh, and I get it. I get they can be monologue, and it's like they're just going through their slide deck and everything. But a lot of the information they're going through, y'all, is pertinent. Like when they're talking again, market expansions for us, even when they're like incentivizing when it comes to like workers' comp products and like all these like the cyber products. I mean, we've got some carriers that are, bumping their workers' comp commission levels to like 28% on our side of things, which is like, oh shit, like that is a huge bump from your typical 10 to 15, right? So make sure you're getting on the actual scheduled carrier calls. All of your reps, and I'm speaking more on the property and casualty side here, not as sure on your side. I'm assuming the same though. Your reps are reaching out. Your reps have no problem hopping on a training. They host these webinars for the agents. Get on those trainings and educate yourself. And then my last bit here before I turn it back over to you, Tony, is so it's great to understand all this. Like, and even just what Tony said, right? Like he's educated. He knows exactly who he's going to go after and target. If they have a number, all that. And I said they because Tony could know all this shit, but then if he doesn't tell his team anything, what's the point, right? And so my note on that is just what's the lines of communication you have open to spread the word? Like, do people in your organization, like you may know it, but then are you getting that information out there? For us, we use Slack channels. And so we have a specific Slack channel that it's a public channel for all of our Clearview agents that, man, every single carrier correspondence that I get, I will copy and paste it in there. And then we also do, the email blast. And most of our agents are getting the email individually from the carrier as well. But a lot of times agents will just delete them because they see it's from, a carrier or something. They just think it maybe is like some BS educational, something, whatever. They delete them. So we make sure and get that out. It's almost over communication, but I want to make sure that everybody's in the loop. So what are you using to spread the word, I guess is my question to y'all. If you're watching this, make sure your team knows. Obviously if you're, doing this solo, then good for you for staying in the loop. So,
yeah, no, that's super important because that thought process between conducting market analysis and keeping it tight, like you're talking about, so that it's more live, makes it more flexible. And it really follows the motto of the whole book, Who Moved My Cheese? Because as soon as the cheese gets moved, you can immediately get the team targeted in the right direction. So market analysis, especially in the Medicare space, it's a constant thing. And I assume it seems to be as constant for you guys. But
tune in to Tuesday training. Shameless plug there because Tony covers a lot of market analysis every week. So if you're lazy, you at least have a live show every week you can tune into to get this stuff.
Good point.
Shameless plug.
Moving on, number 3, and this one a lot of people are very familiar with, and that's to break down your big goals into smaller milestones. And that's what he was alluding to in the beginning. Was like, hey, I want to set this goal that I want a Rolex. Right? I know a Rolex is, I don't know what, 30 grand, 20 grand.
I was looking around 15,
whatever.
20.
I got a Tissot. It's like 850. Big deal. So you get your Rolex, but the 30 grand, you don't have 30 grand yet. Right? So again, these short-term targets is what are the little things that I have to do to get to where I need to be, where I'm cool dropping 30 grand on a ridiculous overpriced watch. Pretty simple. We do it in the office. We work on them every week here at Syndicate headquarters. Every Monday, every Friday, we do a personal professional development meeting where we turn in and we measure ourselves based on our short-term targets, our short-term destinations. Where are we trying to get to Monday through Friday in our work week, or Saturday if some of us are extra miling on a Saturday. It is a self-ascribed list of items that, like, these are the targets that I'm trying to hit for whatever week we're on.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the week, we turn around and we look at everything we wrote, and then we're going to judge ourselves on how we do, and we will continue to evolve that. But that works so well because it's something that's right in front of you. It is a short-term destination. You don't have to wait a long time to get there. You're going to arrive at the timeline
pretty quick.
Because if you remember in the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So a short-term time bound target, you're going to get there pretty quick, and you're going to be able to face the music pretty quick, whether you accomplish it or not. So those are great because they will help you right your ship faster.
Yeah.
And keep you on target faster. And you can put them in bite-sized chunks, right? I'm about to cook a giant 12-pound Wagyu brisket on my grill. I can't eat the whole thing by myself, but I could over time, piece by piece. Same kind of thing, right? What do you got to do in little chunks to get to that bigger chunk? And one of the reasons I really love our weekly deal with the short-term targets is that my goal with the team is to help them take that and then break it into larger 8-week plans, where now they can look at what they're going to try to accomplish for the next 8 weeks. And it'll be much more massive growth by getting consistent with their short-term targets. They'll be able to look 8 weeks in advance, go, well, if I'm hitting short-term targets at this level consistently, I could raise all my targets by, say, 10%. And then over an 8-week period, if I do this and this, holy shit.
Right.
That's what I would have accomplished. That's how much money I would have in there. There's my Rolex, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I think backing into the numbers is super important, especially for like maybe an 8-week goal. Again, I think a lot of my weekly short-term destinations, a lot of it is activity based, because I know the activity is going like because I understand my sales cycle is not going to be one call closes. So a lot of my short-term destinations for the week, a lot of it is activity based. Obviously I do have some in there where, hey, I'm closing agents, but that's the cool part of looking back or seeing that, okay, hey, because I knocked this out and did that week, now that has propelled me into being able to scale and sell more, recruit more, whatever that looks like. But like, for instance, yesterday we were doing this, the goal setting, and the financial goal side of things was 35,000 in the next 3 months. And so like literally, hey, I want to make at least 35,000. And this was specific to the trucking side of things. So don't think, yeah, we're out here going to make 35 grand revenue selling personal lines right now, because we're not. And so backing into those numbers, well, based off of the average premium and my average revenue and your split on the revenue coming in, like she only needs to sell 17 and a half policies in the next 90 days based on averages, right? Not including any type of endorsements or increases or anything like that, in order to hit her 35,000 goal. So back into the numbers, I think that's super important when you're setting those weekly short-term destinations, as well as that 8-week, maybe even getting into your 6-month. Because again, once you start getting past 6 months, then it's not, I don't know if we necessarily even call that a short-term destination at that point. But moving on. So number four is very important. If you are sitting in a leadership seat, you need to be doing this. Okay. Incorporating individual goals. You as a leader should have individual goals. Okay. But then also incorporating the individual goals for your team. So I'll go through this real quick with you. While setting team goals, it is important to consider individual goals as well. This will help in creating a sense of ownership and accountability. Okay. I'll backtrack there. This will help in creating a sense of ownership and accountability among the team members. Each team member can have their own target based on their strengths and capabilities. Okay, so incorporating those individual goals, I think a lot of the times it is very team-based. This is what we're going to do as a team. But then, you see the individuals maybe start to bow out, right? They start to slow down. They start to, maybe they have something happen in their personal life, right? That now, they're not necessarily hitting it, but it's none of it is incorporated to them as the individual. And so that's why I do House of Dreams. I hark on it a lot, but before we do anything, tell me what you're trying to do. Like, and again, I look at the dream, right, that they're trying to achieve as their individual goals, right? And that's why we work through things and then we do the personal goals and the final. Like, tell me what, like, why are you even doing this? I think a lot of the reasons individual goals are not incorporated is because you're just not asking or having the conversation, right? And I get it. We're not perfect, right? And sometimes, hey, we're having a busy week and man, I've got 3 agents onboarding, right? And like, all right, let's just kind of get them going and kind of cruise through. But man, those conversations with those individuals are so important to keep them incorporated. But at the same time, and we're going to get into this just in a little bit here, but making sure that their individual goals. Now, you shouldn't have to do this because the only reason you guys are even having the conversation is because you've already pitched them the vision and where you're trying to go. And that's why they're even with you in the first place. And we'll get to that. But like making sure the individual goals really support the organization and what you're trying to achieve. But I think if you've already done a good enough job of vetting them in that kind of, we'll call it the recruiting phase or onboarding phase before they actually start with you, their individual goals hopefully should line up with what you're trying to do because the reason they're with you is because they believe in what you're trying to do, hopefully. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents there on the incorporating the individual goals. Make sure you're having the conversation. Make sure you know what your people are trying to do. And then once that is in alignment with the vision, and we'll cover that more. I'm kind of overlapping here, but it is super important to have those built into the team for sure.
There were a couple of things you said there. Actually, when you let off, you were like, hey, you need to be doing this too. And it made me think of our morning meetings that we do, because the short-term targets, the activities that we do with the crew, we're also doing them, right? Like we're everybody together as a group is writing out their short-term targets, and we're telling the entire group what our short-term targets are. Everybody's aware of what's going on. Oh, Joe's trying to accomplish this week. Merwin's trying to do that. Gabi's trying to do that. Todd's trying to do that. Grace is doing that, right? And then we all have to, again, come back in front of each other and hold ourselves accountable in front of our own group. Like, well, no, came up a little short here, did pull this, or actually did that, or this was a win, or this was a shortcoming, whatever it might be. So I was thinking about that and how important it is as the leader of an organization to also be participating in this exercise, in an exercise like we're doing, or same thing with your team.
Agreed.
Leading from the front in that direction. They see that you're also trying to push yourself to grow as well, and that you're throwing them some time-bound, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant goals for yourself that they can also be like, wow.
And the respect that is derived from that when they see their leader doing it too, but not only doing it too, but actually staying accountable and hitting that, right? Or the accountability piece too can be like, you know what, I didn't hit it, right? And just being able to be transparent and honest with that.
One of us,
exactly.
Right?
But this week I'm back in the saddle, right? Those types of things. Real quick, number 5, and then I'll let Tony take back over. I just want to cruise through this one. It's just offering incentives and rewards. And obviously we know what incentives and rewards are and how to incorporate that in our business. My only 2 cents on that is not to always make it a dollar sign. I think a lot of times we hear the word incentive and reward, maybe not necessarily. Just when I hear incentive, I think dollar sign instantly, right? Which I don't have a problem with cash, and I'll do that sometimes. Like, hey, whoever makes best Friday today, here's $100, right? Or we're taking them out for a round of drinks or whatever that might be. Just again, I don't necessarily always associate it on the dollar sign. Maybe here's some Amazon money, but a lot of what I like to do is get my guys out of the office. It's, don't get me wrong, we love being in the office, we love hitting our goals and our short-term targets, right? But every once in a while, it's nice when I'm just like, all right, guys, let's go. Turn on your auto replies. Like, I'm taking y'all to Top Golf, right? Because we've had a good month or something like that. Just get them out of the office. Don't always associate it to a dollar sign for sure.
Yeah. Everybody needs a carrot to chase, right? Everybody needs a carrot to go after. So incentives are good. I do that for myself. If there's something that I want to go after for my personal stuff, not even related to Avila. Grace and I wanted to do 75 hard when we kicked off this year. And to reward ourselves, if we completed it, we took a nice trip to Cabo.
I like that.
Everybody needs a carrot. Give yourself some incentive when you hit your goals. Give yourself a little cheddar. Give it a little pat on the back, right? For achieving it. You deserve it.
Real quick too, y'all, if you guys have any questions, like as we're going through this, whether you're, again, as an individual or for, hey, I'm bringing a new person in, or maybe I'm struggling to set goals with a new producer or a new agent of mine, don't hesitate to drop that in the comments. We're more than happy to kind of circle back to that and speak to your specific experience. as we continue to go through this. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop those in the comments for sure.
Yeah, I'd say number 6 is a little bit duplicative, or maybe we overlapped because when we were talking
I
about
overlapped.
individual goals and
I overlapped
because it talks about aligning goals with the organizational objectives. We obviously kind of covered that, how you can take the entire team's growth and make sure that everybody has or understands what the measurable amount of their participation is necessary. So their individual goal within that. But then the next one, and this is the whole reason you're tuning in right now, let's be honest, encourage continuous learning. In the competitive insurance industry, it says here it's essential to keep up with new trends and developments. And you know that that's true. We've already talked about that when we kind of touched market analysis. Like in the Medicare space, it always changes. Every year we have to update something. And it's, usually not something as kind of massive as it's been the last couple of years. But, it's one of those markets that always evolves. And insurance in all lines seems to be that. So always be learning.
Always be learning. I like that it says to encourage the sales team to participate as well. So again, if you're running a team or anything, make sure you're pushing your people to join. I mean, even again, the world that we're living in now, I mean, you can get so much education. I put, events, take them to events, take them to masterminds, take them to the workshops. I've always take my guys with me as much as I can. Networking events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even for ATX Agent Hangout, when I finally get it back up off the ground, but bringing them to just networking type stuff, right? Or maybe a network after work or like an actual organization like that. Take them out there. A podcast. Show them some good podcasts to tune in on. I mean, there are so many insurance-specific podcasts out there. One of the first ones that comes to mind, shout out James Jenkins. The guy does an exceptional job on his podcast, and it is crazy freaking informational. I mean, the guy's having like CEOs of insurance carriers hop on and straight up educate. It's free, y'all. Like, just turn it on instead of listening to, Shabuzi on the radio. Maybe like listen to a podcast that's teaching you about insurance. I'm not even playing. That and Facebook groups. That's why we created the Insurance Syndicate, right? Was to ultimately disrupt through collaboration. And that's through collaboration comes from educating others and providing value to others, right? So there's so many Facebook groups out there with tons of good information. Obviously, none as good as ours. Marketing for Insurance Agents is pretty good too, but ours is the best. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, there's so many ways to educate yourself now outside of like what I mentioned earlier, the carrier trainings, the free webinars, hell, even just in your carrier sites, all the modules and stuff that you can go through on that. Yeah, 100%.
BNI has a podcast.
Do they really?
You can listen to earn continuing education credits. They kind of believe in that same thing and continuous learning, right? Always getting to be better. Now, granted, pretty much all the material in their podcast is all about referrals and networking and all of that jazz. It is pretty good. They're short ones, little bite-sized ones. I chew them up in the morning because BNI also believes in short-term targets, apparently, and they want you to try to push to learn or do 3 of those 3 1-hour segments of what they call continuing education, continuous learning. So it is super important.
Absolutely.
As is number 8, monitoring and tracking progress. You, I know, are very good at this because I hear you talk to your guys all the time about, hey, I'm monitoring and tracking your progress. I know what you're doing. You can't fool me. You have specific metrics for your guys and targets that you want them to hit every day.
Right.
And you talk to them about it. Talk about that some more with them. Well, like, what are you looking at with your guys and like how, well, I'll just let you kind of run.
No, I mean, you talked about it earlier. It's activity, man. Whether you're new or established, dude, nothing ever trumps activity. So a lot of what my daily metrics are it's a lot of it is activity based. It's not even about sold policies anymore. That's what I used to do was like, hey, if you need to sell a policy, but now it's based off what I've seen in the years that I've been in. I'm just looking for the activity because I know that the sales will follow. You guys have heard me say it. I'll say it for anybody that's new to the group, the 1, 2, 3. So my guys, and this is every single day, they got to post this. And if they don't post this, you best believe first thing in the morning, that is the first thing I'm saying, because that's one of the first things I'm checking. Did they post their daily activity goals? Not to say, yeah, could I just go run the numbers in the CRM and pull it myself? Yes, I could. It's an accountability thing. I want them to, every single day at the end of the day, they get to post their badass numbers. That's the thing. I think that's almost a confidence boost where maybe you didn't necessarily make all the sales that you wanted in that day, right? Or it was a rough day, but then you look like, damn, like I got all that done today, like right on, right? So we do the 1, 2, 3. So it's 100 dials, 2 hours of talk time, or 3 quotes. Okay, so 2 out of the 3, and I went from from quotes to sold policies, just because, again, I understand sales cycles now, and I know like the one call close is not necessarily there as much as it was, especially on the independent side, because I have to shop you through. Like, nobody's going to stay on the phone with me for that long. And so the 1, 2, 3, one, $100, 2 hours talk time, 3 quotes, 2 out of the 3 need to be done every single day in order for you to wrap up. Right. And I'm not gonna lie, if it's 5:30, and you don't have the talk time and you don't have the quote, like, then you better just keep dialing until you get the talk time, right? And then what do you know? Sometimes all it takes is, oh, shit, I got to make 10 more dials. Okay. And then on that 9th dial, oh, baby, $30,000 trucking account. And you end up working until 7. It was a freaking awesome day. And now you're totally geared for success for the next day. But this ultimately comes back, and I've been coining you a lot, Victor. You got to know your numbers, right? The only reason we do the 1, 2, 3 is because I know it's going to produce the results of what we're trying to do, which is they're trying to sell a minimum of $100,000 in premium a month, right? So which basically brings them 10K revenue. That's the minimum. Like, that is what we're trying to hit every single month. And I know if we're doing those 2 out of those 3 things on a daily basis, I mean, dude, it's a cakewalk. And I know that obviously there's outliers and things can get skewed a little bit. But still, I know in the 10 years I've been doing it, and especially the 1, 2, 3, which is I've been doing the 1, 2, 3 since my Allstate days. There's a reason I still do it. Outbound calling is not dead, y'all. So like, hey, if you get the Facebook, it's funny, Todd, I'm going to pick on you because he was just complaining. He's like, I got to get on the dialer this week because all my organic Facebook leads, because he was getting so much from these Facebook groups, and then just getting on a call, he'd get the crazy talk time because of the rapport. They're reaching out to him. Matt Murray was talking about that last week. Like, the best client is the ones hitting you up for insurance. Mm-hmm. So he'd get his talk time and his quotes, and then it's cyclical, right? It fell off a little bit. And he's like, damn it, I'm going to have to pick up the phone and call these leads, right? But again, that's what you got to do, and why we set those metrics. So
monitoring, track progress. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you said it perfect. Accountability, right? Tracking progress, monitoring activity holds accountability. And if you do it regularly, which is what it says, that's going to give you the opportunity for quick corrective action. You can fix the problem before it becomes a really big problem. This is especially true in marketing. I've tried to talk to, or actually sales in general, building your pipeline. Like, we're in a pipeline game, especially Medicare. And if you say don't track your progress for maybe 1 month and you kind of slack off, or maybe you're not tracking your progress, you don't really know your numbers, like you said, and you kind of screw off for a month, you might not know it because it's a pipeline game, but a couple of months later, you're going to wonder how come you don't have as many sales or as many inbound calls or as many leads or whatever it is, right? So you have to constantly monitor and track and look for, like, all right, because those metrics are what's going to forecast your future.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're going to find out too late. And it's going to be harder to right the ship because it's like restarting a whole engine again. Number really 9, and this is something that I really feel like both of us are honestly fantastic at here at Syndicate, is to foster a culture of collaboration. This is, again, why we do all of our goal setting meetings in person, all as a group. Everybody participates on a weekly basis, is because it's a culture of collaboration. Everybody knows what everybody's working on, and we can all support each other and attaboys and attagirls, or be like, maybe, I don't know. We can have that camaraderie that helps push the whole team along. Everybody said it and or heard it in the past. A rising tide raises all ships.
Yes.
So a culture of collaboration is enormous.
Thinking I love. It's the culture. It's not necessarily like me and Tony. We don't like do insurance business together. Like, I'm not doing Spanish speaking Medicare, and Tony's not flipping property and casualty. Who knows? Maybe one of these days, maybe it'll come to that, right? But that doesn't mean we still can't collaborate. I mean, again, that kind of goes back to the point of why we created this group, y'all. Is I don't care if you're a life insurance, Medicare agent, PNC agent. Like, there's so many ways to collaborate and create that culture without necessarily having to like trade commission splits and stuff like that. So I think that's something important just to highlight. Also, something I found, excuse me, at the end of the day, if you're sitting in the leadership role, yes, you're going to make the final call, but including your people in some decisions. I'm not saying all decisions, and no, should they be 100% included in all the business decisions? Well, no, because then they'd just be, running the business. And then that's kind of, where are we at with that, right? Like you're running the business, you're in the leadership seat, but including them in decisions, like for me, when I'm going to potentially roll out a new product, like when it comes, or a new script or anything that we're doing on the trucking side, even specifically is, it's, hey, let's get together. And like, what are y'all's thoughts on this? Right? Let me hear you. Let's go through this. And at the end of the day, that creates a feedback loop, which the feedback loop, in my opinion, is what you were just talking about. That's what really can create a culture, a true culture of collaboration. Is super important, especially to have when you're in an office environment. So,
yeah, especially just like you were saying, sales processes, right? This is something that I was just recently talking to my guys about. Like, there was a couple of things in the sales process that I was asking them, like, do you think it would be better if we did it this way? Or do you think it's good the way we're doing it right now? Like, you tell me, because you're the ones going through that process every time, not me. This is me looking at it kind of on the outside going, it looks like it would be easier if we did it this way. But
right.
I'm not just going to make an executive decision on that. I'm going to bring it to them and go, y'all tell me, I need some understanding of how this process is moving for you. And do you think it's easier if we do it this way? And if we want to, we can easily move over there and I can get it knocked out. But
right,
I need to know.
Yep. No, I agree with that 100%. And then, guys, so our final point here,
and one of the most important.
And apparently, I can't say it, even though that's what it's about. Communicate effectively. Woohoo! One of these. The final point here, number 10, y'all. Communicate effectively. Effective communication is key to achieving any goal. Ensure that the goals are clearly communicated to the team in a timely and transparent manner. I think we've kind of talked through some of that in previous 9. Encourage open communication and provide regular feedback to the team on their progress. Okay, so communicate effectively. My little 2 cents that I wrote down there, my little note. Are you even talking about them? Let's start there. Like, when we're talking about, effectively communicating the goals and making sure the teams, are you even talking about the goals? Like, at the before we even start to try to send anything out to the group do you actually have those conversations? That is why it's the number. I know I just said it earlier, but it's why I do the House of Dreams before we do anything else. I got to know what they're trying to achieve. And ultimately, the only reason I'm even at that stage in the onboarding phase is because they know what I'm trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, it's incorporating those individual goals. But I cannot communicate effectively if you're not talking about them. There's nothing to communicate. So why are you not talking about them? And that's a challenge. It's a question. Like, do you have goals in place for your organization? I don't care if it's just you, if it's, husband-wife shop, if it's you got 100 freaking agents. Like, do you have goals in place? And they're so important. And I know we stopped talking about them for a year, right? It's like everybody's like goals. But it was funny. Like, the whole reason it was goals is because of how freaking important they are to have in your business and ultimately just in your personal life, right? I know you have a lot. Your personal goals are completely, they're health centered, and it's, about my mental health and my physical health, and you have goals all around you, or at least you should, in order to become the best version of yourself every single day. So that's my question. Sorry, I get a little but are you even talking about them? Do you even have them? Because if you don't have them, there's nothing to talk about.
There's nothing to communicate. 100%. Right. This is why I like our group activity again, because you don't have to be a silver-tongued communicator. Just throw it in the group. Everybody's right there. They're writing them down in front of each other, and they're like, look, see, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to hold myself accountable for. Everybody can see it. That's really effective communication, right? I don't have to be this visionary. Right. Just put everybody in the group and be like, all right, here's how short-term targets work. What are yours for the week, right? And you start setting that standard right there, and again, sharing yours, sharing the organization as well. I love that you mentioned, again, personal, professional. Like, what are you trying to do for yourself? Right. Include those. We talk about those in our meeting if you want to. You don't have to. But for example, one of my activity goals that he'll hear me say when I'm looking at my short-term targets is I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit my Kung Fu class 3 times this week, whatever it might be. I've set goals for my continuing education credits that I want to get on my BNI group, as well as some of the other metrics, because that's a whole nother land that I've found myself in, that apparently you can earn points based on all the different activities that you can do in a week through BNI. And then you get a leaderboard. The higher you are on the leaderboard, the longer time you get in your weekly commercial, which is hugely important. So now I have activity metrics that I'm setting that'll help me get on the top of the leaderboard, which so far is already working because I've been able to do 60-second commercials. So like all of those little things, right? Those are all the different types of goals, but then communicating them effectively. Like I said, I love the way we do it in a group setting. Just put everybody in the group when we talk about them.
Yep.
Makes it super simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys heard that too. Get as specific as you can with these. Like his, I could probably quote it. He needs the 3 BNI. Like, I mean, but you put the number associated to it. Don't just say I need some more BNI meetings or I need some more CE, right? Like
3 BNI CEUs, 3 BNI 1-to-1s. I want to schedule 5 more for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to work out daily, right? Production goal, everything's in there.
Yep. I mean, mine was literally, it's something as simple, y'all, like, because we're getting ready to, I'm coaching softball, which I almost got screwed out of, but then we moved and we called in some favors and now I'm still coaching and we've got the girls protected. But it was like literally, okay, I've got a softball team of 6U. We're now co-ed, so it's going to be 5 and 6-year-old boy and girls T-ball that I'm coaching, and I've never been a part of this organization. But my goal was, hey, you can technically protect up to 4 players, and 3 of those players like were my daughter's like really good friends. They went to different kindergartens, so now they don't see each other. So like, but that was my goal, right? And it can be something as simple as that, because I know getting that accomplished for me makes my life a lot easier than having to go home and tell Laura, like, by the way, Cooper and Adriza got drafted to the other teams and you're playing by yourself. Like, you know, but it is. I mean, it can be something that as that simple or as personal as that, right? Because that does. It improves my life. It ultimately does. So real quick, I'll read through this here, y'all, and we'll wrap up here. And I know I did not memorize all this, so yes, I'm going to be scripted, but I think it's powerful. I wanted to read it to you in summary here. So implementing these strategies can have a significant impact on the sales team and overall organizational structure. The structured goal-setting process will help in keeping the team focused and motivated, resulting in higher productivity and improved performance. It will also foster a culture of continuous improvement, as the team will be constantly striving to achieve their goals and exceed expectations. To ensure maximum engagement and buy-in from the team, it is important to involve them in the goal-setting process. Encourage them to share their input and ideas and incorporate them into the final goals. This will create a sense of ownership and commitment towards achieving the set targets. Overall, a structured goal-setting strategy that takes into consideration market conditions, regulations, and aligns with the team's strengths and organizational objectives while fostering a culture of continuous improvement can significantly contribute to the success of a sales team in the insurance industry. Effective communication, collaboration, and monitoring of progress are also crucial elements to ensure the successful implementation of these strategies. So as I read this, I just want to give you all this tidbit. So these are actually like all prompted. So, and it's through Jarvie. So shout out to Jarvie. But as you guys hear, like, what article did he go pull or anything? This was actually something that I created through ChatGPT. And Jarvie's got these really cool, like, pre-prompts where you just plug and chug what you're trying to do. Because sometimes I struggle with just talking to ChatGPT and like creating kind of like better content. It's just like, it's super ChatGPT-ish. And some of this is too, but y'all, like, some of the resources and technology, like, I mean, this is something that I'm like, we can take into a morning meeting now, right? And we can rehash this out. Now we're already doing it, but you got like the resources and the tools that we have, like ChatGPT is
nuts.
Freaking wild,
it's
man.
Nuts.
Like the fact that I can just script up an hour, 45-minute to an hour long podcast is pretty freaking cool, but it's still ours, right? It's still like what we wanted to train on. It still has our touch to it. So I just wanted to say that because it's like, I'm not.
Yeah. I wrote a detailed white paper on the effects of the Inflation Reduction Act on prescription drug plans using ChatGPT.
Sick.
It's dope. And all my clients are getting a copy of it.
Love it. I love it. Well, y'all, again, if you guys are still tuning in on live, I see you guys out there. Thank you so much. Actually, I did want to come back to this. I wanted to do it in the middle, but we were cruising. Jess Suda, if you're still on here, I got to give you a shout out. So Jess is probably, well, you've been in insurance less than a year as far as like actually selling. I know when the company like formed, but for you selling, last week, Jess had a $50,000 week in a week. Like that was shit that, I mean, I could barely do that in a month when I was producing. So shout out to Jess. That's awesome. Congrats. I know that was a big week for you. And now you have money to come to the content creation workshop next month. And I guess, well, real quick, Tony, do you want to kind of highlight some of that again as we close out?
Yeah.
We do have an amazing workshop. I know you guys have seen it.
September 20th?
September 20th. Correct. Yep.
Right here at Syndicate headquarters. We are going to do a content creation workshop. Basically, we are going to teach you how to create content. We're going to help you with scripting processes. Like one of the things I'm going to show you is the process of how you can take one long form. I'll call it long form, but I'm really talking about like an 8 to 10 minute video. This one, you could even do it sicker with. But basically how you can take one semi-long form video and you can blow it into about 64 pieces of content across multiple platforms, multiple frequencies, multiple styles. So super easy. Our whole goal is to teach you how to explode your content so that you can quickly develop about 6 months worth of content pretty quickly for the next, 6 months. They're now in the rest of the year. That's the basic package. Lunch included or food included, right? Lunch.
Yep. And morning meeting. Yep.
And morning meeting. Or you can upgrade to the VIP and you're going to get on location shooting plus equipment. You're going to get a lapel mic. You're going to get a ring light. You're going to get a selfie stick. You're going to get everything that you need to immediately create content on the fly, plus all of the training scripting. And we're going to take you out in Austin for some a little bit of sightseeing, but we're going to take you to some very iconic Austin area locations because there are some phenomenal ones. And we're going to shoot content and we're going to develop a ton of content right there. And then we're going to have a party after that right here at Syndicate headquarters with games, drinks, food, fun, the whole 9 yards.
Yes. Yes. You guys need,
it's gonna be a riot.
I'm like, seriously, we have, I think there's like 4 or 5 people that have signed up so far. And even if it's just the 4 or 5, that's fine. Y'all, I want more people there because this is going to be so freaking fun, man. And like, literally, y'all, I'm this close.
Flash mob content shoot.
It's going to be sick. And I'm getting us like a party bus that's going to drive us all around. And then Elle and David Denning are going to be in town working on a few other guest trainers as well that I know are just going to bring some value. Obviously, myself and Tony, Tony's wife, Grace, is going to spend a little time with y'all as well. Just, how much content, and literally it's what's built a lot of her book of business is through that. And then you start to,
she's got about 500 videos now. She's closing in on 1,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Everything she's done is organic in that regards. Like, we haven't tried to buy subscribers or anything. We're just like, let it grow and we'll push it as best we can.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is September 20th, y'all. Lily, if you're still tuning in here, if you could drop that registration link in the comments, you guys can see the general admission or the VIP. Obviously, check out the VIP. That's where it's going to be a lot of fun. And don't get me wrong, the general admission, if that's what you can do, get in the room, get here, right? You'll still get a lot of great education. We were just talking about it today on the show. But the content creation workshop, Elle and David Denning, myself and Tony here at Syndicate HQ, September 20th in Austin, Texas. Just a one-day event. You're going to need the day off after the party on Friday. So we're not doing anything on Saturday.
Regardless, like just, between the workshop and the first half of the day, followed by a nice lunch, and then on location shooting for a next handful of hours.
Yeah.
You're going to get your steps in. You're going to have some fun.
You'll have access to this studio.
That would be a quick tip. Bring you some comfortable shoes.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're probably going to get your steps in.
Yeah, and then maybe like just a nice shirt above, like nobody cares because you're going to be shoulders and up kind of thing, But don't worry about the pants. Actually, don't wear pants. It's going to be hot.
Put some pants on.
Yeah,
like don't Donald Duck
it. Oh, that's funny. Mr. Merwin, go ahead and take us out, man. It's been an awesome winning on Wednesday.
Yes, it has, man. Remember, you got to set SMART goals, right? SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So what are you trying to accomplish specifically, and when are you trying to accomplish it by? That's pretty much the 2 questions you're looking for. Thank you all for tuning in, man. Again, this is the long show. We do it live. That's how we roll. But then we push it out to YouTube for the rewatches. Also, if you like more short content, we are on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, etc. Go check them out. All you got to do is look for Insurance Syndicate. You can find us there and chew it up bite-size like little short-term targets. But as always, we do it live. We do it right here. This is the way it goes. Thank you all for tuning in because we'll see you next week on Winning on Wednesday.
Let's go, y'all. It is the peak of the week. Let's get it. I appreciate you guys. Have an amazing rest of the week.